Welcome to the Dark Horse Chess Channel. Today's game is between Grant Xu and Mark Paragua. Alright, the game began. E4, C5, D4, C takes D4, C3, D takes C3, knight takes C3, knight to C6, knight to F3, D6, bishop to C4, and E6. This is the Scheveningen variation of the Smith Morra Gambit. Here, white is down a pawn, but it's a huge lead in development. Both knights are developed. This bishop has good range. The dark squared bishop has good range. And the queen has great range, including a half-open queen file. And white can castle on the next move. Black, on the other hand, is up a pawn, but the only developed piece is this knight. This bishop has limited range. This bishop has limited range. And the queen has okay range, but it can't move much on the queen file. And black is 2 moves away from castling. The engine rates this position about equal, with the best moves for white being castling, queen to e2, and bishop to f4. Here white castled, and black played a6. In the Smith Morra Gambit, the knight on c3 is a very powerful piece. Many times it will jump to b5 or d5 or over here to e4. And black, by pushing these 2 pawns, prevents this white knight from hopping to these powerful squares. In this game, white uses the standard setup. The standard setup is a knight on f3, a knight on c3, the bishop on c4, the queen will move to e2, and the rook will go over to d1, with an x-ray attack against the black queen. White played queen to e2, bishop to e7, rook to d1, bishop to d7, and bishop to f4. White has 2 attackers on this weak d6 pawn. Black played e5, which was the best move. It protects the d6 pawn. However, it creates a very weak square here on d5, and also weakens the square on f7. White played bishop to e3, knight to f6 was played, and then white played b4, sacrificing a pawn. The purpose of this pawn sacrifice, if knight takes pawn, white would move his rook over to b1 and attack this weak b7 pawn. However, black could play b5, attacking the bishop, and then after rook takes knight, pawn takes bishop, black is slightly ahead. Black did not take the pawn. Black castled. a3 was played. Rook to c8. Rook on a to c1. h6. h3 was played. And here black went bishop to e6. Black wants to exchange its weak light squared bishop for white's strong light squared bishop. But doing so will create a weak square on e6. White played bishop takes bishop, pawn takes bishop, and white played queen to a2, attacking this weak e6 pawn. Black can protect the pawn 2 ways, by going king to f7 or queen to d7. On queen to d7, white can go knight to a4, and the white knight can enter black's position through the b6 square or the c5 square, and continue with the pressure on the e6 pawn. Black played king to f7, which was the best move. White responded by going knight to h4. White wants to get his knight on f5 because the pawn on e6 is pinned by the white queen. Black responded by playing queen to d7. White did play knight to f5. Black responded by going king to g6. The pawn on e6 is no longer pinned. So because of this, white moved his knight back to g3. White wants to protect this pawn with the g3 knight, and then move this knight over and launch a kingside attack. b5 was played. Knight on c to e2, king to h7. White played f4, and black played d5. The engine gives black about a 6/10 advantage, with the best move for white being queen to a1. Black's king is relatively safe. but the pawn on d5 is pinned. White played f5, d4 was played, the d4 pawn is pinned. White played f takes e6, attacking the queen. Queen to b7 was played, and white moved his bishop back to f2. Here the engine gives black about a 1 1/4 pawn advantage. The best move for black is to push g6 and prevent the knight from jumping up to f5. a5 was played, white responded, b takes a5. Black played knight takes a5. Black is looking to post his knight up on the c4 square. White responded, rook takes c8, rook takes c8, and this crazy move was played, knight takes d4. The purpose of this sacrifice is after pawn takes knight, white would push the pawn to e5, and after the knight moves away, the rook's going to come down here to d7, attacking the queen and the bishop. Black took the knight, e5 was played. Black played knight to d5, and after rook takes d4, white has two attackers on this knight. Black played the best move, rook to c4. This blocks the attack on the black knight. White responded by going queen to d2. Rook takes rook. Bishop takes rook. Bishop to g5, attacking a queen. Queen moved up, queen to d3, check. King moved back to g8. And white played knight to h5. White wants to go knight to f6, check, and make black play knight takes knight. And then after white takes with the pawn, this queen can enter black's position and hopefully get this pawn to queen. Black played knight to c6, attacking the bishop. White did go knight to f6, check. And here, black has three options. If black goes knight takes f6, white responds e takes f6, bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, g takes f6, queen to g6 check, king to h8, queen takes h6 check, king to g8, queen to g6 check, king to h8, and queen to f6 check, and this position is a draw. White cannot push this pawn, he can only perpetual check the black king. If black goes g takes f6, white goes queen to g6 check, king to h8, e takes f6, knight takes d4, queen to e8 check, king to h7, f7, and now black has to perpetual check the white king. Knight to e2 check, king to h1, knight to g3 check, king to h2, knight to f1 check, king to g1, knight to f6, attacking the queen. White queens has two queens, queen to b6 check, king takes f1, knight takes queen, knight to f5 check, and king to h8. This position is a draw. In the game, black played bishop takes f6, white responded e takes f6, and here the best move for black was to go knight takes f6 and the game would have been a draw. But black blundered by playing knight takes bishop, and this allows f7 check, king over, queen to h7, knight to e2. Black is trying perpetual check, but it does not work. King to h1, knight to g3 check, king to h2, knight to f1 check, king to g1, and black tried knight to f6. This allows king to h8 check, king to e7, queen takes g7, king takes pawn, and here white pushes to a knight check, which wins the black queen. Game over. Please subscribe and hit the like button. Thanks for watching.